Okay, let's talk about custom audiences and retargeting, and we're also going to talk about lookalike audiences, which are right up there in the idea of audiences. And you're going to find these inside of your Facebook ads account. In your main menu, you can go up there and click on audiences, and I'll show you this when we go over the shoulder at the end of the video. But we're going to talk about a lot of things. This is a very important video, and this is definitely going to leverage all of the functionality, the super powerful functionality of audiences inside of your Facebook ads account. So I want to talk about retargeting and custom audiences first. So when I talk about custom audiences, it's really just kind of the way that Facebook has named and organized all the things that you could do in terms of retargeting and lookalike audiences, and basically the ways that you can do remarketing on Facebook. Okay, so what exactly is retargeting, sometimes known as remarketing, right? And you've all been exposed to it. This is when you have that feeling of, a product or a company following you around, quote unquote, right, the internet, right, following you around from site to site. Let's say you go to Amazon and you add a product to cart, and then all of a sudden you're on NBA.com, and on the right hand side you see that same product, and then you're reading an article at the New York Times, and in the middle of the article is a banner ad for the product, right? That's retargeting, right? People are retargeting or remarketing to you. So what exactly is it? It's basically when you show something, you're going to show an ad to someone who has already interacted with you in some capacity, right? The most obvious scenario, someone views your product, they don't buy it, you run a retargeting ad showing them that same product, right? You're showing the ad, you're remarketing or retargeting people who have already seen the ad, right? And there are different there are different capacities of doing that inside of Facebook ads. I'm going to show you that, but that's the most simple kind of example to illustrate what retargeting is, right? It's just what the name says it is, right? You are retargeting or remarketing to someone who's already interacted with you. Okay, and there's plenty of different options. They're all very, very powerful. I'm also going to go over some of the specifics that you need to know about ClickFunnels retargeting. There's a couple different things that you'll want to take advantage of that are unique to ClickFunnels. And then I'm going to talk about lookalike audiences. Very, very powerful. The reason that I'm doing it in this order is that you need good source audiences, you need good custom audiences and retargeting audiences in order to build good lookalike audiences. And then I'll go ahead and show you the whole process of building them out inside of your Facebook ads account. Okay. So really, and also one more thing, retargeting is a form of custom audiences, but there are more forms than just retargeting. You're going to see when we go in there. Custom audiences or website custom audiences are basically an overall category of audiences, and retargeting is just one specific type. So there's going to be a lot of different things out there that you'll be able to find. Okay. Now there are different source options, right? Let's think about again the definition of retargeting: showing something to someone who's already interacted with you in some capacity, right? So we need to have this base audience, right? Or otherwise known as a source audience. Okay. So who is your source? Right? The source is simply the group of people that have already interacted with your Facebook pixel in some capacity. Okay, and it doesn't have to only be Facebook pixel, as you see that we can do things off of your Facebook page, but it basically has to have some sort of interaction with Facebook, either through your website that has the Facebook pixel on it, right? And of course, if you've gotten this far in the course, you definitely have gone through the pixel install videos. So either on your website where the pixel exists or on your fan page, that's where you're going to create that is what your source audience will be. Right, you have different options. You can select different sources. For example, you can create page-based custom audiences. These are people who have interacted with your Facebook page. Let's say they have liked your Facebook page, or they've visited your Facebook page, or they've been exposed to one of your ads, and of course any of your Facebook ads are tied to your Facebook page, right? So these are pretty valuable. Definitely not as valuable as the next set, which is website custom audience. These are people who have interacted with your website, right? So they've left Facebook and gone onto your website, and obviously that means that they're a more qualified candidate to become a customer. I mean, you can't become a customer if you don't go to the website anyway, so that's why these people are of the highest value when it comes to audiences. And there's so many different ways to build these custom audiences in terms of which source audience you're going to put in there. For example, you could build a source audience off of people who have just visited a specific page, right? This goes back to that original obvious example. You have a product, someone visited the product page, you show them a retargeting ad for that same product, right? And they became a part of that custom audience or that retargeting audience because they viewed that page. Now, even more powerful, these are the preferred way to do it. You would do event-based custom audiences, right? This is going to be where you would use events tied to your pixel. For example, people who have added a product to cart, right? If you've added a product to cart, then you are of higher value to us in terms of becoming a potential customer than someone who's just viewed the website, right? And of course, that means you have to have a nice amount of add to carts before you do this, so it's going to come in order. You're going to start with page-specific retargeting, and eventually you're going to want to get up to event-specific retargeting. Really, some of the best event-specific retargeting is retargeting people who have made purchases on other products, right? Your actual previous customers, retargeting them. Okay, and then we're going to talk about lookalike audiences at the end of this. Very important. Lookalike audiences are built off of your source audiences. So you already have to have your retargeting audiences or your website custom audiences to even get to lookalike audiences. So we'll get to that point there. Okay, retargeting for ClickFunnels. This is a little bit specific, and pretty much because there are more touch points on a funnel than there is with Shopify, right? There is, of course, the product page or the landing page, right? That's going to be pretty similar to Shopify, right? That's just people who visited your page but took no action and left, right? But there's a little bit different setup from there afterwards, right? What happens after the product page? Well, on my Just Takes One funnel, which you have access to in this course, you are getting the one-page upsell. I'm sorry, the one-page checkout. Let's talk about the checkout first, right? Step 2 is the one-page checkout. So that is definitely a different scenario than you have with Shopify, because Shopify has 3 pages, right? So you have people that are going to be able to make a decision on one page or not. That's another touch point, right? Basically, we could retarget off of the product page, or we could retarget off of the one-page checkout. But then we also have this really powerful and unique retargeting option. I call it upsell retargeting. It's basically people who have purchased, but they didn't take the upsells, right? You talk about wanting to increase your average order value or increase your customer lifetime value. I mean, this is a super powerful way to do it. I mean, retargeting in general is always going to be a very high ROI, return on investment, right? A high ROI ad type. Are you going to make money from retargeting? Because it's a great concept, right? That's why everyone is doing it. I don't need to sell you on the idea of retargeting. I mean, every big company and every small company is doing it. I mean, anyone who's not doing it is simply leaving money on the table. Right? It's very powerful. But this upsell retargeting is even more powerful because you're effectively retargeting someone who is, you're basically double retargeting, right? Layer number 1, you're retargeting someone who's already a paying customer. So you're retargeting your best customers. You're retargeting your best people because they've taken their credit card out and bought with you. That's number 1. Number 2, you're also doing your basic product retargeting because remember, they've been exposed to the upsell. They've turned it down, right? That's why we're going to upsell them based on the we're going to retarget them based on the upsell page, but they've been exposed to that page. So that's going to be basically like someone who has been to the product page but didn't buy, but also is a paying customer, right? So this is a super powerful combination and really something that is unique to ClickFunnels because of the way that the one-click, one-page upsells are set up. So what would be a typical use of retargeting, right? Like how are you going to use it? And you could certainly use it pretty much ASAP. This is how it's going to look, right? Simple 4 steps. Number 1, you're going to already be running ads to a product, right? You're going to get at least 25 website clicks, and you're going to get some sales, right? You want to basically do retargeting, not to prove that you could sell maybe 1 or 2, but basically to start adding on some low marginal cost sales when you're already basically understanding that a product is worth it. Okay, I mean, sure, you can retarget and maybe get a handful of sales on a product that really was not doing so well, but that's really not what we're looking for, right? We're looking for the winning products. So what I really like to wait for at least 25 website clicks. That's more of a Facebook requirement in order to build the audience, but then just knowing that the product is in demand, right? So then I'm going to go and I'm going to create a website custom audience. You're going to see how to do that next. Create a website custom audience based on page views because that's really all that we're going to have at the beginning. Remember, I told you that you can create better ones, but not at this point. Okay, so we're creating a website custom audience for page views on that product. Okay, anyone who's seen the product will be inside of our custom audience. Okay, number 3, we're going to create a brand new website conversion ad, and we're going to set the targeting to the website conversion, to the website custom audience that we created in step number 2. Okay, so we're basically setting the targeting. We're not going to use interest groups. We're simply going to use the custom audience, and there's literally a box in there that says custom audience, right, or saved audiences, and we can just go right in there and add in our audience. Okay, we're going to be doing it $5 a day, 5 days, just like any other ad, and we're going to include retargeting specific ad copy. I mean, when I say specific, I really like to say stuff like this. hey, come back and give us another chance, or try us again, or we know that we know you want this product, or we know that you liked looking at this product. Something so they know that we're talking directly to them, because that's super powerful, right? Anytime you can make it seem like we're talking one-to-one to a customer, I mean, that is incredibly powerful, and that's what we have the opportunity to do with retargeting. Okay, number 4, we're going to simply build more website custom audiences after we scale the product. Okay, pixel-based custom audiences, those are the most powerful. Right, I'll show you how you can do those, but those basically build, instead of page views, they build off of very specific events like adding to cart or purchase. And those are the highest quality events we could find. Okay, so lookalike audiences. Talking about what are they? Well, they're audiences that are made up of similar people who are likely to perform similar actions as the source audience. And who determines them to be similar? Well, Facebook's algorithms do, right? We have no control over, really, we only have a couple of levers to pull. We don't see who's in the audience. We don't basically get to pick and choose who's in the audience. This is going to be Facebook's algorithm. And by the way, they do a great job of this, and lookalike audiences are incredibly powerful. So the key difference between lookalikes and retargeting, though, lookalike audiences, the people inside these audiences, they've never interacted with you before, right? They're simply similar to people who have interacted with you before. Right, and that obviously sounds familiar because that's what we just talked about, those source audiences, those website custom audiences. So basically, a lookalike audiences are people similar to your custom audiences, your retargeting audiences. Okay, and good website custom audiences become great lookalike audiences. So the better you do in the first part of this video in terms of creating your retargeting, you're going to have a much better lookalike audience. Okay, and in terms of functionality, I'll show you this. We're just going to select 1%. Basically, you have options 1 to 10%. You want to start with 1% first. You could scale from there. If 1% is working, go ahead and go for 2% next time, but or basically rebuild and create a 2% audience. But start with the 1% audience. And this is important. Start it unspliced. What I mean by that is the targeting is only going to be your lookalike audience, right? It's going to be big. It's probably going to be about 2 million people in size. That's okay. You're not going to touch it. Right? Start unspliced, meaning no other targeting in there, right? If you get some really horrible CPMs, like $20 CPMs or something, $15 CPMs, then definitely try splicing it up by adding in a couple interests. Like, for example, if you're in the cat niche, you could add the super broad cat interest just to shrink numbers down a little bit and try to get a little bit more targeted. But it's really more so a sign that your targeting isn't too good, your source audience isn't too good if you're getting really high CPMs, right? The lookalike audience on its own should be really powerful. Okay, so let's actually go and build some custom audiences and lookalike audiences, and let's go over the shoulder right now. Okay, I'm over here in my audience section. They call it the asset library inside of your ads account. You can just come over here, and it's really still called audiences over here. And you'll find audiences, also find it under assets. Audiences is going to bring you to this page, and you can come right over here, load up over here, and it's just going to basically be your list of audiences. Okay, and here's how you get started. Of course, you need to have your Facebook pixel installed on your funnel, or on any destination that you want to build these audiences from. Okay, first things first, blue button over here, create audience. 2 options right up front, custom audience, lookalike audience. Obviously, we already know what those are. We're going to build custom audience first, and now you're going to see some different options here in terms of what you can do. Okay. Customer file. Let's say you had a list of your customers or an email list of your customers. You could actually go ahead and upload your list of emails into here, and Facebook will try to match those emails up with users. Okay, not very powerful, but worth trying. Okay, app activity. Obviously, if you have like a iPhone app or a Facebook app, you'd be able to upload the list, or probably the list. Yeah, you'd be able to upload the list into here, and it's basically a custom audience of app users. Not very relevant for us. Okay, these are going to be the ones we care about: website traffic and engagement. Okay, I'll show you engagement real quick. And it tells you what it is. Create a list of people who have engaged with your content on Facebook or Instagram. Okay, this is a lower quality audience than this. And why is that? Well, these people have taken an action on your website. Okay, these people have only taken an action on social media. Okay, so we can click in here, and you see that there are a bunch of different options in terms of what we're going to be doing here in terms of creating this audience, right? Create a list of people who have interacted with your fan page or your Instagram account, or people who have interacted with events, like if you do like a Facebook event with RSVPs. People who have interacted with your video, right? This is a powerful one, right? You do video ads, and then you can do retargeting, or do video retargeting off of people who have watched a specific amount of your video, right? Pretty cool, right? But we're going to focus on this one right here, website traffic. Okay, create a list of people who have visited your website or took specific actions using the Facebook pixel. Okay, so we're going to come over here and we're going to have basically our criteria box. Okay, the most simple one to do and very not very relevant, especially with funnels, is anyone who's been to your website that has the pixel installed on it. Right, just anyone. This is more powerful for a Shopify niche store. Right, we want to come over here. We're going to focus on this. People who visited specific web pages. Okay, now first things first, in terms of timing, you can click over here. Maximum time, 180 days. You always want to set that. Okay, you can go back in time as well, so you don't need to create these audiences at first. You can wait until you have a product. It will go back 180 days if you've had the pixel installed for 180 days. If you only had the pixel installed for 10 days, obviously you can only go back in time to when you first installed the pixel. Okay, now there's a couple different options here. You see over here, we have different, different settings here, right? Different inputs here that we're going to be controlling. And this is going to be basically like it's kind of like an if statement, right? Like if this URL contains, or if this does not contain, or if it's exactly equal, right? So if you wanted to, if you're going to copy and paste the exact URL, you can press equal. I just like using contains. It gives you the flexibility to not really have to go crazy about what you're copying and pasting. So I'll show you exactly what we're going to grab. Let me pull, and this example is going to be just retargeting off of a specific product, right? Our basic retargeting scenario. All right, so we're inside of our ClickFunnels account, and we are going to be actually just going to view. Here's our page one. We just want to go and click this button. We just want to view our funnel, right? We just want to see our destination URL, okay? And you probably have a domain on here. All you need to do is just grab this last part, right? We're grabbing this last part right here. Whoops. Basically after the .com/. Okay, copying this, coming back to our asset library, and we're pasting this in. Okay, so, and then we're going to press tab. Okay, so what is it doing right now? Include people who meet any of these criteria. People who visited this specific web page. Any web page with the URL that contains this string of text. And obviously that's this page right here, right? Now, let's say we wanted to do a retargeting off of people who have made it to the cart page. Well, you just take this, copy, right? Instead of that, just paste that in. Now, these are people who have visited the checkout page for that product. Obviously, this is a more qualified customer, right? They made it to the cart. Okay, we're just going to do the more traditional one. This is going to be the first retargeting audience that you'll build, because it's going to be just people who have visited your product page. Okay, then you simply go ahead and name it. Just going to name it Cat Halloween Costume Retargeting, so I know what it is. And then we would go ahead and click Create Audience. Okay, that's going to go ahead and build that audience. Now it's going to immediately pop up and ask us, do we want to find new similar people, right? Well, and what does that sound like? Well, that's obviously the lookalike audience, right? So once we have a custom audience, we're then able to build a lookalike audience. You need to have a custom audience, in this case a retargeting audience, in order to build any type of lookalike. So we can come right in over here, and literally we're going to click this button. This would have been the same thing that we would have done if we clicked on this blue button over here and then click Create Lookalike Audience. Only a couple things that we could do. Okay, picking the source audience. Right, we're going to go, and this is going to click in here, and you'd see a big list of all of your retargeting audiences. Right, here's the one that we just created. Okay, now we're going to go and pick the United States. Okay, now you see there's percentages. 1%. Okay, you can ignore these advanced options for now. This is basically just excluding other percentages. Once you have success with 1%, you come back in here and then do a 2%. Right, but we're going to start with 1% right now. We're simply going to click Create Audience. And that's now going to create a lookalike audience, as you see on the screen right now. It's going to be a 1% audience. It's going to be about 2 million people. It's going to find 2 million people that are similar to your Cat Halloween Costume Retargeting audience. Okay. Now you could imagine that if your Cat Halloween Costume Retargeting audience had 20 people and mine had 2,000 people, I'd be able to build a much better lookalike audience than you. Okay, so don't hesitate to rebuild audiences, create new audiences off of new combinations or new custom audiences as you progress. And I want to show you real quick, this is, in my opinion, the most powerful way to build audiences, here we go, create audience, custom audience, okay, website traffic. Now instead of website visitors, we want to come over here, from your events, okay, from your events. Now you may not have all these events available because you might not have had any purchases or any add to carts on your pixel, right? Eventually when you do get them, they'll populate in here, okay? These are the most powerful right here, right? And this specifically is the most powerful, right? Purchase, right? Anyone who has purchased in the last 180 days will be in this audience, right? So I would name this something like this. I mean, you know, no one's more of a VIP than someone who's actually taken out their credit card and actually bought from you. Right? So as you grow, this is going to be a super powerful audience. Maybe it starts off small, but think about it. If you get, you know, a couple hundred, a couple thousand customers, this becomes a great audience for you to test new product with, scale to, etc. So definitely play around with all these. You know, you don't even need to do purchase. You could also do people who have done ads to cart, right? Page view, view content, you know, these are basically the most basic example, right? It's the equivalent of you know, this one right here. Page view content is pretty much the same as people who have viewed specific web pages. So it's really just add to cart and purchase that you're going to want to focus on once you get to, you know, maybe say a couple hundred of each. Okay, so you can create that audience. I'll just close out of that. But that's how you do custom audiences. That's how you do retargeting. That's how you do, oh, actually, we got to show one more thing. How do we use these ads, right? Or how do we use these audiences? We'll come over here into our audiences section and we're going to go actions and, I'm sorry, we can't do it right now because it's still populating. But let me show you basically a different way to do it. So we're over here in the ads manager. We're just going to come up here and click create ad. Okay, I'm just going to show you, we would of course do a website conversion ad over here and then we would name it. But what I want to show you is where we're going to put the custom audience, and it's actually right here. It's got its own box. Custom audience section. All we would need to do is just click in and find our list of audiences. Here's our cat Halloween costume, and we'd be able to select that, or we could select our lookalike audience. You could also exclude audiences if you wanted to exclude something, right? You could exclude the lookalike audience if you want, right? Tons of different combinations you could do. Very, very, very powerful. And what I mean by slicing or unsplicing, right? If you're doing a lookalike audience only, right? This is how you'd want to test it. No interest in this box. Right, when you use custom audiences, typically you're not going to put anything in this box. If you get horrible results with your lookalike audience, again, assuming this is the cat niche, you can come in here and just type in cats, put in the biggest broad interest, and that will narrow your size a little bit further. Okay, but lookalike audiences, custom audiences, guys, you better be using them. They're super powerful, and I hope this video really helps.